Hi, everybody. I've got my SiteGround jacket on. I live in Florida, okay, and this is a ski jacket. So I've got my temperature, my air conditioner cranked down for the moment, just so I can put this on and show everybody, because it's such a cool looking jacket. But in Florida, there's absolutely no place to wear something like that. So let's get that off. Okay. Now, as I always have to do, let me figure out how to share my screen. And now y'all should be able to see my slides. And I'm going to minimize this, which means I'm not going to be able to see the chat for the moment, but I'm trusting that there's actually people there. So hi, everybody. Hope you have had a wonderful month. It's been a month since we've been together. I'm excited about this talk. Give a big shout out to my friend Bud Nance, who's here. Bud's the only person that I know personally that I've seen in the chat. So if you and I have met and I've not called your name out, I do apologize. Let me know, because Bud talks to me on we talk on Slack every now and then. So, but hi everybody. Today we're going to talk about driving traffic to your website, and this is something that it's obviously very important, but it's been a passion of mine for quite some time in this whole marketing thing. So I hope you're going to like this, and I hope you're going to find value in this. And for those of you who are not native English speakers, I'm really going to try to slow down. I have been watching some of the past ones, and I have a tendency to get excited. And when I get excited, I talk real fast, and I do all kinds of stuff, and I really want to slow it down a little bit. As Ilana said, if you have a question, please put it in the Ask a Questions. Don't put it in the comments, because the comments just scroll by. And since I've got that minimized right now, I won't even see that. But if you put it in the Ask a Questions, when we're done, I'm going to try to go through some of those. I was reading some of the questions beforehand, and of course, the answer to several of them is always yes. This is being recorded. Yes, it will be published on the YouTube. So if you're not going to be able to watch the whole thing, you can always pick it up later on the YouTube channel. But several of the some other people were talking about, what can they do to drive traffic to their site? And somebody asked, what can they do to drive traffic to their site that's free? And that's a mixed bag. I've got good news and bad news for you. The good news is I do cover that. The bad news is you're probably not going to like my answer, but I'm going to give it to you anyhow. So let's talk about where we've been. Okay, we've been doing this webinar or this e-commerce journey for quite some time. We built a test site or a sample site called Fat Beard's Pirate Coffee, and we had some fun with that. But we built out our e-commerce site. And then in another one, I told you how to create a special offer. Now, then we hammered out some upsells and downsells for that special offer, so that even if they didn't buy it, or even if they did buy it, you might get a little more money out of it, which means you can spend a little more money getting people to come to your site. Then we started our mailing list, and we talked all about mailing lists and how to deal with mailing lists. And you have the two different types of emails that you send to people. You have the email that you send to people who are just a member of your list but are not in a email funnel at the moment. And then you also craft sale or email funnels to bring somebody to the realization that your product is the answer to the problem that they're having. And we've discussed these strategies. And then finally, we crafted a lead magnet. In our case, it was how to brew the perfect cup of coffee. And we talked about how to bring all of this together to get your lead magnet to drive traffic to your site, to drive sales, which puts people on your mailing list, which allows you to sell more. Now, most people think that maybe I have done this backwards, because we started with our site and went all the way through our lead magnet. And a lot of entrepreneurs that I see, they have an idea, and the first thing they think of is, well, I've got to do a lead magnet so I can build my mailing list so I can sell my product. That's actually backwards. You want to think of it as you want to get your product and your offer created first, and then you can work your way through the rest of these. And eventually you'll get people to the point where they're buying your offer. And quite honestly, that's the point. Okay. The point is not to create a lead magnet that is super cool. The point is to sell something. A good friend of mine, Luke Stokes, who used to run an e-commerce solution called FoxyCart, would always say that customers show their appreciation by giving you money. That's how they show their appreciation. And if they're not giving you money, they're not appreciating what you've done. You've got to find a better way to do it. But one of the important things I've tried to do with this series is throughout the entire series, I've really tried to show you more than just strategies. I've tried to give you actual tactics and things you can do to implement the ideas. Now, there are a lot of marketing gurus out there that give you the strategies for free. You can attend webinars and all this that will discuss the benefits of a sales funnel. I've tried to give you this is how you do it, okay? The tactics that they use, the tactics that I've learned, and they're the tactics that I'm actually using myself to build these things. And I've really tried to do that because I want you to get something out of this that is what I like to call actionable intel, something that you can actually do something with, an idea that you can implement. But that lays it on you. If I give you the idea and you don't implement it, then the idea has just gone away. So you've got to make these your own, and you've got to start implementing some of these ideas to get it going. So now, let's talk about the topic at hand. We're going to talk about the last piece of our puzzle, and that is traffic to your website. Traffic is the secret sauce. It's what you're looking for with all of your efforts, because without traffic, nothing else matters. Without traffic, nobody is going to read your inspiring content and want to share it with others. I mean, without traffic, nobody's going to really realize that your solution is the solution they've been looking for to the problem they have. And without traffic, nobody's going to give you their money in exchange for your product or service. The old saying, from Field of Dreams, if you build it, they will come. And that's a great movie line, but that is just absolutely horsepucky when it comes to marketing. You can build the most beautiful site with the most interesting content out there, but if you don't have traffic, none of it will count for anything. Now, there are three types of traffic that we're going to talk to. And while they're all important, not all of them are created equal. So here are our three types of traffic. We've got earned traffic, we've got paid traffic, and we've got owned traffic. Elliot, I got to point out, the slides that you see are not the slides that I create. The slides that I create are just ugly and have words on there. Thanks to Elena and her staff of graphic artists, these slides actually look good. So thank you so much for making these look good. But these are the three types of traffic that we have. And all three types of traffic all traffic that you get to your website will fall into one of these three buckets. And regardless of what you think, somebody asked me, how do you get free traffic to your site? Well, all of these have costs. And the question is, what are the costs that you are willing to pay? But quite honestly, only one of these is really important. The other two are the wide end of your funnel, but only one of these is the narrow end of your funnel. And out of the narrow end of your funnel comes the money. So we want to focus on the one that's near the near the narrow end. But let's talk about each one of them individually. Okay, we've got traffic earned. Traffic you earn is free traffic that you did something for. Now, a lot of people think that earned traffic is free, okay, as in it doesn't cost them anything. Everything costs. Earned traffic is only free if you don't put a value on your time and on your services. Earned traffic takes a lot of effort, and it takes continuous effort. I mean, it's not something that you can just do once and you're done and walk away from it. If you want an earned traffic strategy to be successful, you're going to have to plan it, execute, strategize, create, and generally get out there and bust your butt to earn the attention of the people that may or may not be interested in the product or service that you have. Now, on the other hand, if you can get your potential customers to think about you on a regular basis, guess what? You're living rent-free in their head at that point. You have earned traffic at that point. A lot of people confuse earned traffic with viral traffic, and they'll try really hard to create viral content in an attempt to earn traffic. The problem is the best viral content that you see out there, and you look around at some of the stuff that goes viral on social media, the best of it is a one-off. Somebody did something or produced something that was really funny or really interesting, and a bunch of people shared it, but it was a one-off, and they go and they try to recreate the magic, and of course they can't, because that's not how this works. If you want constant viral traffic, that takes a team. You have to have a team to build consistent viral content. And hiring that team is going to cost you a lot more than just buying ads on the social media platform of your choice. Then we have paid traffic. This is the traffic that nobody likes to do, but by far it is the most effective out there. And honestly, if you value your time, this is the cheapest traffic. Give me an example. I got a buddy of mine, and for those of you who listen to the SiteGround podcast that I host, Geek to English, you will know this gentleman. We had him on middle of last year. A gentleman by the name of TJ Gamble. He goes by eCommerceaholic on most social medias. TJ works in the Magento space, and a couple of times a week, TJ puts out these beautifully produced videos of him talking for 5 to 10 minutes about a topic that is important to Magento users. I was watching one just the other day. His videos have wonderful production quality, okay? But TJ is a friend of mine, and so when he's not on camera, he and I talk every now and then, and he showed me the stuff that he's got. He's got about $4,000 or $5,000 just in equipment. He's got a dedicated space in his office that is set up just for the videos. And you can, if you ever see one of his videos, it is a beautiful set that he's got. And he's got a room just set up for this. TJ also has somebody that does all the research and puts together the writing for him. Okay, TJ's the on-site, the on-screen, but he's got somebody behind the scenes that will do the research for him. He's got somebody that takes care of editing, and that person also takes care of being behind the scenes in the what we call the technical director, stage manager, all these roles where they're the person that says, okay, we're on this camera, we're on that camera. I've done this for several of my friends who do video for scuba diving and know what all goes into this. But he's got all of that just to create the recording. Then they've got to edit it. He's got all of that. Then he's got a whole nother team that all they do, he pays them just to promote this stuff. Yes, TJ's videos go viral several times, okay? I've seen some of them just catch fire, especially on LinkedIn, which is really his market because he's dealing with large e-commerce, people looking to build large e-commerce sites. And I've seen his stuff go viral on that, but it would have been so much cheaper for TJ just to put together an ad on LinkedIn that says, if you're thinking about Magento, hire in the name of his agency, okay? That would be so much cheaper than what he is doing. Paid traffic is not the expensive traffic when you consider all the effort behind it. Now, if you're not planning on doing at the level or working at the level that TJ is working at, then you've got to make sure that at least your production qualities are up to the point that other people have, okay? If your stuff looks worse than your competitor's stuff, guess what? They're going to go to your competitors. And I see this all the time. Most of you who know me or have been listening to these webinars a while know that I'm really into scuba diving. And so one of the things that I do is I monitor Facebook for ads about scuba diving, both scuba equipment companies and scuba shops, because that's really important to me, because I want to help make my dive center, the one that I work with, the best one out there. Well, I see some that are really well produced and have nice videos, and I see others that it's obvious they haven't thought about the lighting or the production qualities or anything like that. That's not going to help you at all. Matter of fact, that will hurt you, because if you remember earlier, we in a couple webinars ago, we talked about know, like, trust. They're not going to trust you if you don't look trustworthy. So if you're going to do this, you've got to make sure that you spend the money to make it look right. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but that's why paid traffic, just putting an ad up there on whatever social media you're on, that's why that's actually the cheapest that you can do. Earned traffic is not free, because you've got to put a lot of effort, a lot of time, and usually a little bit of money into it just to make it worthwhile. Then we come to the holy grail, owned traffic. Now, we talked about owned traffic when we talked about mailing lists. When you can get people on your mailing list and you can email them and they click a link and go to your site, that is owned traffic. Names on your mailing list. Nobody can take that away from you. I'm old enough to have lived through 2 or 3 Google slaps, okay, where Google decides whatever you're doing right now, that's not going to work anymore. And I've actually seen companies go out of business simply because Google changed its mind about how things were going to work. People on my mailing list, Google can't take that away from me. Facebook's done the same thing. Facebook has said, in the early days of Facebook, man, everybody was running ads, and they were dirt cheap, and just everybody and their brother was doing it. It was wonderful. Then Facebook said, hey, we're really only interested in those that are willing to pay us some serious cash. So the prices went up, the thresholds went up, and all of a sudden, companies that had built their entire business around this one business model of cheap Facebook ads, they went out of business. Facebook, Google, Apple, I don't care who they are, they can't take my mailing list away from me. So that's where I want to focus my efforts. I want to get people on my mailing list, because on average, if you've got a decent product and you have a targeted mailing list, you should make approximately $1 per month per person for your mailing list. So if you've got 1,000 people on your mailing list, that should equate to $1,000 per month. You can do the math. If you've got 10,000, you should be able to do $10,000 per month on your from pushing ads to your mailing list. That's where the money is. That's the important traffic. That's the one you want to take care of. You do whatever you can to protect your mailing list. This is why on my site for scuba divers, it says, I don't share it, I don't barter it, I don't trade it, I don't do anything. You give me your email address, I'm going to send you emails, but that's it. Because I don't want to run the risk of somebody getting mad and saying, I no longer want to be on this list. Some people do. Some people say, hey, I no longer want to be on your list for whatever reason. And I'm happy that they do that, because that's self-selection. That means that I'm not paying to send emails to those people, and Google's not dinging me because they're not opening my emails and stuff like that. I want people to walk away from my mailing list if it's not interesting to them. I don't want to make them mad by using my or selling their information to other people. That's another thing, is not every message you send to your mailing list is going to land with every user. Okay, most of my mailing lists average about a 1/3 open rate. That's my list's personal. I did have one list for a long time that it would average a 1/2 open. Basically, 50% of them all got opened, and I eventually started moving those that aren't opening on a regular basis, moving them off into what I call the cold list, and that way I would not send to them every month. But there's different strategies that you can use to keep those open rates up. But some people are simply going to say, what you're saying is not for me. That's not the same as I'm mad at you. That's just, this is not what I'm interested in, or this is not what I thought it was. And as long as they hit that unsubscribe and not report as spam, you're good. Let them walk away. You don't want those people on your list. You don't want to be talking to people that don't want to hear what you have to say. The other side of that is every time you email, you're going to have some people that unsubscribe. Okay. That means that you have constantly got to have new list building campaigns going on. So owned traffic is important. However you do it, either by buying traffic to get people on to your site to take your lead magnet, or by doing viral videos of you wearing a snowsuit in the middle of Florida. Whatever you got to do, you do whatever it takes to build that list so that you can get the people that are interested in what you have to say on your mailing list. One of the ways to do that is to become an expert. Now, if you're an expert, people listen to you when you speak. Becoming an expert, though, is more than just mouthing off. You've got to give people good advice, and you've got to give them actionable intel. And actionable intel is something they can use right now, something that they can use without having to pay you extra. And if you do that, if you dole out these little knowledge nuggets to people, and it actually helps them get something done, that's the act of helping. And the act of helping tells people that you're an expert. I used to be, most of you have never heard of this before, but there used to be a language out there called FoxPro. And I was a FoxPro program for the first probably 10 years of my career as a programmer, as a professional programmer. And the FoxPro community was great. It reminded me a lot of the PHP community, because in the FoxPro community, we had a CompuServe forum, because this predates the internet. Yes, kids, I predate the internet. We had the CompuServe forum. We'd all get together and share ideas. And the people that shared the most were the ones that said, hey, they're important. They're the ones that know what they're talking about. And those are the books that I would buy. The people that had shared me and proven to me that they were the experts. Now, eventually Microsoft bought FoxPro, and things went downhill in a hurry. We went from a sharing, caring community in about a year and a half to the answer to every question was, hey, I can solve that. I'm just going to need your credit card number. That killed the community right there, because they didn't prove that they were expert. They just wanted those monies, but they wanted the money. And that's how the Microsoft community at that time, I don't know if they still do it, but that's how the Microsoft community at that time operated. They didn't come in as money hungry money grubbers. This was just how they did things, but it wasn't how we did things in the FoxPro community. FoxPro community, you proved you were an expert, and then people bought your libraries, bought your books, paid for your videos, all that kind of stuff. Now, contrast that with the fact that I am a Jeep owner. I just recently, well, not recently, back in August, bought a Jeep, because as a scuba diver, you can't dive very well in a Miata. And for 20 years, I had a Miata, and you can fit one tank and one bag in the trunk in a Miata, and that's it. So I bought myself a Jeep so I can haul my gear back and forth to the dive sites. And it's a 6-cylinder. Now, I can run my mouth forever about the benefits of 6-cylinder versus 4-cylinder engine. I've got an opinion, but guess what? I'm not an engine expert, much to my father's chagrin. My father, God bless his soul, was a car guy, and he loved this stuff. It did not transfer to me. But I can tell you why I like 6-cylinders. I can give you all the stories about being able to haul gear and stuff like that. But I'm not an engine expert. And my telling people what I believe won't help them make decisions or solve problems. And the ones that actually are dumb enough to listen to me about 6-cylinder versus 4-cylinder, they're mostly going to end up, most of the time, they're going to end up disappointed, because I'm not an expert. Now, if you want to talk marketing, specifically inbound marketing or permission-based marketing, yeah, I can talk. I've been studying that for more than 10 years. I've had successes. I've had my share of failures. Specifically, I can tell you what I did and when I succeeded, and ways that you can repeat what I did. And when I do that enough, people start looking at me as an expert. And when they see me as an expert, they're likely to buy my products. I don't have any marketing products for sale. They're likely to attend my webinars, like this one. And they're likely to hire me to come in and help them figure out how to do better marketing for their product. And I'm not for hire, but you get the point, okay? When you spend the time and you invest the time in yourself to become an expert, then people listen to you. Now, make no mistake, it takes a lot of time and effort. I've been talking marketing for 10 years, and only in the past few people started listening to me. I got a buddy that is still a member of the PHP community, but Chris was a huge member of the PHP community when I started. He was one of the best known PHP programmers out there. About 6 or 7 years ago, Chris started transitioning. Yeah, he still does PHP and he still talks about PHP, but a lot of times he talks about security, and specifically web application security. Chris has transitioned from being an expert in PHP to an expert in security, and he now runs the development department for a security team or a security company. But people didn't just immediately say, oh, Chris, you're an expert in PHP. Obviously, I'm going to listen to you about security. He had to rebuild and re-become an expert, and it took him 7 years. Becoming an expert is not quick. This is not a get-rich-quick scheme. But becoming an expert will help with the traffic that you drive to your site, because as people begin to know you, like you, and most importantly, trust that what you're telling them is going to work for them, then they're going to start going, every time you post a new article or a new video or a new podcast or anything, they're going to say, hey, I want to listen to that. I don't even work in the Magento field, but every time TJ Gamble produces a new video or releases a new video, I stop, I give him 10 minutes of my time, simply because I find what he does fascinating. And I guarantee you, if I ever have the ability to, or had the need to build a Magento site, there's only one place I'm calling, okay? I know a bunch of different people that can do this. There's only one that I'm gonna call. No, that's TJ, for those of you not following. Okay, so as you become an expert, you're going to start to build your platform. Now, a lot of people say, create your own platform, build your own platform. What does that mean? A platform is just a regular series of content, okay? It's nothing special. It can be a podcast, it can be a YouTube show, it can be Twitch TV, it can be your blog, whatever it is, okay? Now, I'm partial to podcasting. People tell me I have a face for radio, so that's one of the reasons why. I've been podcasting since 2006. And I've had a total of 5 podcasts, 3 of which are currently running. And if you're not listening to Geek to English podcast, I urge you, go out, Google for it, find the Geek to English podcast and subscribe to it, because I just take technical topics and break them down so that non-technical people can understand what technical people are talking about. I don't do it in a condescending way, but I also don't use any inside lingo or anything like that. It's just explaining, and they're usually 5 to 8 minutes long. They're not terribly long. But I find that podcasting is easy. Yes, I've actually made some money off of mine. I have one called Voices of the Elephant that I've been running since 2011. And I've had several sponsors come on and sponsor for a year at a time. And I've made some money. Nowhere near what I make, as a developer, okay? But while nobody gets rich, or I haven't gotten rich doing podcasting, I've picked up what I like to call beer money or dinner money. I can take my wife out to dinner. But all of my podcasts have helped contribute to me being seen as an expert. And that's the real value of them, is that people see me, and when they see me with Voices of the Elephant, I've been interviewing people 10 years now. 2011, 10 years. I've been interviewing 10 people 10 years now. So most of the community knows me. So when I approach a conference organizer and say, hey, I would like to do a keynote at your conference, they already know me as an expert in the industry. I don't have to sell myself on them. I just have to sell my my talk idea. Now, if you're going to create a platform, and I'm going to talk about podcasting, but this translates into video as well. And we'll talk about blogging a little bit at the, when we finish this. If you're going to do podcasting, podcasting is easy. All you need is a phone, a smartphone, and WordPress. Literally, you can do everything with those two things. Now, my setup is a bit more complex. I hope y'all can see this. See the microphone? That's a Snow Yeti microphone, and it's on an extended arm, and it's got a pop screen. And that whole rig cost me about $150, but that was 4 or 5 years ago. Okay, I've gotten that much use out of it. It's paid for itself many times over. It's also very cool these days, since everybody's on Zoom meetings, to have the whole microphone, and I've got Zoom set so that the dead sexy filter is on, and everybody, oh, you've got a voice, beautiful voice. Nah, it's just audio post processing. No, but it doesn't take that much. I have actually podcasts from my phone. I used to do Voices of the Elephant, but when we still had in-person events, I would go to an in-person event, and I would sit down, and I had a little microphone that attached right on the top of my phone, and I would do interviews just on my iPhone. I never edited them on there because I'm not comfortable editing on a small screen like this, but you can actually edit them using GarageBand or any number of free audio editing tools. And WordPress has a plugin or a app that you can connect to your blog, and you can actually post things to your blog straight from WordPress. So you could do the entire thing right from your phone. Now, I don't. I use Windows, but it's also available for Mac and Linux. I use a piece of editing software called Audacity, which is free. And Audacity is just a workhorse. I've been using that since 2011 for all the editing that I need to do. Then for publishing, literally WordPress and a plugin called Blueberry. Now, there's several of them out there. You find the one that works for you. I like Blueberry. I've talked to the people that built it. I like them. I trust them. So they're the platform that I use. But it's all right there on my WordPress install. Then you have to have, whether you're doing YouTube, video. Oh, by the way, if you're doing video, then this camera right here is a Logitech HD 1080p. It cost me $79, $80. Okay, it's not expensive. And I've got, I'm gonna pick this up and see. I don't know if this is gonna work. See those little lights right there? $25 at Amazon. Okay, I got 2 of them, and suction cup mounts on the back of my monitor. The whole rig cost me again another $150 over several years. I hope that's aligned right. And Linda, let me know if that's not aligned correctly. Video is not expensive these days. You can do it cheap. You can actually do it right there on your phone. If you want to do the whole thing on your phone, you can walk around and do stuff like that. This is all creating your podcast, but you need, or creating your platform, but you need to get out there and start promoting it. And this was where we tie back into the traffic. Okay. Your content helps you become an expert, but it also gives you something to promote on social media, whether you're paying for it or trying to do it for free. It gives you something to get out there and promote so that people will see things and hopefully click. And once they're on your site, they can get you, you can start getting them to join your mailing list and start selling them things. Now, whether you're doing video, audio, or blogs, it's going to take a while to do this, okay? This is not going to be quick. With Voices of the Elephant, it really took 40 to 50 episodes, and that's a weekly podcast. So basically, it took me a year to get to the point where I was building up my audience. Now I've got a great audience. They talk to me on social media. It's wonderful. But you got to get out there and promote, okay? And if you're doing earned media, whether it is LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or whatever, understand that not everybody is sitting at their computer constantly waiting for you to publish something so that they can click. You've got to get their attention when you or when they're around. And this means you're going to have to post a lot of stuff, a lot of times. These days, if you go out to Twitter and follow my elephant account, that's ELEPHPANT. That's my Voices of the Elephant account. If you don't subscribe to it or follow it or anything, but if you go out and look at it, you'll see that it posts a random episode every, I think it does it twice a day, and at different times. It's not always at 11 a.m. and always at 2 p.m. I've got windows, and I think I've got 8-hour windows, two 8-hour windows it's set up, because I need to get it. Sometimes I need to publish early in the morning because people in Europe don't care if it's early in the morning for the US, okay? And sometimes I need to post late at night to get the people on the West Coast, get their attention. You've got to constantly be changing it up. Now, I use a tool for that. There are some good sites out there. HubSpot, HubSpot's the one that comes to mind. Buffer is another one. There's some tools that can do this for you. They're going to cost you. I was dumb enough to say, hey, I can build that myself, okay? It took me 3 years to build the system that you see tweeting out my tweets. I don't recommend this. Pay the money. If I'd paid the money, it would have cost me basically about 15% of what it actually cost me to build that. But once you get it out there and start producing it or start posting it, people are going to start coming back to your website, listening to your content or reading your content, consuming your content, and hopefully they're going to join your mailing list, because once you get them on your mailing list, then you can start making money with them. Create useful content. I said this, I told you I've had 5 podcasts. One of them was one called 60-Second Tech. And it was literally, each episode was no longer than 60 seconds. And I explained one concept in plain English. And one of the very first episodes I ever did was one that I repurposed for Geek to English not long ago. And it was the secret that no SEO expert wants you to know. Okay. And the secret that Google knows, but they're not telling anybody. And that secret is that you need to be relevant, okay? None of the SEO tricks that you see, whether they be white hat, gray hat, black hat, whatever, none of that is going to beat relevant content. That's what Google wants to share when people are searching for things. So if you write content that is relevant to your audience, that's what's going to pop up in searches. So you need to be relevant. You need to create content that helps people. You want to create content that is that they want to read, and create content that's easy for them to consume and that gives them advice that is easy to implement. Now, sometimes we live in, I work in tech, and a lot of the stuff that I share isn't easy to implement. So my content is broken up into small little nuggets. That way I can share, go do this. Go tweet this and see if this drives traffic to your site. If they can do that, then they subscribe to my mailing list. Then in my mailing list, I can show them, I can give them longer form help and say, okay, now this is why it worked and this is how we can do that. And I can also encourage them to buy any of my books or anything like that on marketing. I don't have any books for sale on marketing. I'm not trying to sell you anything. Just giving an example. Becoming an expert takes a lot of work, but your reputation of giving things to people that help them is what will get them to like you and invest their time, and this is the important part, invest their money in you. So becoming an expert, creating your own platform, that is critical to driving traffic to your site. Look, we've talked about funnels in other ones. We've talked about frameworks. We've discussed all the marketing buzzwords. But here's what it all boils down to. You create content that people want to go and read. And if you're doing that on your site, that's wonderful. If you're creating useful YouTube videos, you're building YouTube's content, not yours. Did you know you can host videos on your own site? You don't have to have YouTube. There are plugins out there for WordPress that will do this. It's not difficult these days. Don't be investing in somebody else's site. Don't be building your platform on rented land. I've actually got an entire blog post out on my blog about building on rented land. You need this stuff on your site. Then once you get good content out there that helps people, you've got to get out there and promote the crap out of it. You've got to take that, and everything that you do on social media needs to have one purpose, and that's to drive people back to your site to see that content. However you need to phrase it to get them there. Once they're there, you give them your lead magnet, you get them on their mailing list. And once you've got them on your list, you find new and innovative ways to promote yourself and your products or services. And we've talked about in the past, if you need to reference these, SiteGround has a complete playlist of all the videos that all the webinars we've done. You can go back and watch any of them. But we had a whole one just on talking about funnels and email funnels and stuff like that. We've already talked about that. But that's what you need to do. That and only that is going to bring you profit. Remember, the mailing list is yours. Nobody can take that away from you. Now, we talked about lead magnets in one of them. We talked about an offer page in another one. This is how all of this fits together. You write your content. You do your earned or your paid traffic. You get them that lead magnet that gets them on your mailing list. Now they're owned traffic. Then you put up that offer page, or you send them a link to your offer page and say, look, this is cool. And you take it in baby steps. We've talked about all of that. Take a little bit, then a little bit bigger, and you'll get to that point where you're driving enough traffic to your website that you're getting profit. Look, I really hope you've enjoyed this series. Now, if you have, do me a favor. Let SiteGround know. I'm going to keep doing webinars, but this pretty much wraps up the whole marketing webinar. More importantly, though, I hope I've given you some ideas to try out on your website. See, none of this makes any difference if you don't actually put one of these ideas in action. Don't wait until it's perfect. You don't want to wait until everything's lined up. Imperfect action is much better than a perfect idea. If you've got ideas for future webinars that we can present, please don't hesitate to contact us. Matter of fact, you can contact me on Twitter at Cal Evans. Some of you have. I really appreciate it. I try to answer any questions that I get.